Is the method of finding a Pep Band drum set player like this. It's okay, a lot of people have no idea what to do with Pep Band drummers. I'm going to give you 10 things to think about. Hi, my name's Casey Dreamus. I'm a music composer and educator, and on this channel, we talk about things that help your music program thrive. Alright, starting off at number 10, we're going to talk about feels. Not like the emotional feels, but the thing that the drummer is doing. You'll be playing a song, and the drummer will go into what we call a halftime feel. Is it cool sometimes? Yeah, it can be cool, but it doesn't always fit. I've had a drummer do this one time during a bluegrass song, and it just didn't fit, and they just didn't understand that you can't just change feels whenever you feel like it. It has to stick to the song, at least to some degree. If you're playing with just a drummer and a bass player, a lot of times you can link up together and maybe make those changes together. But if you have sousaphones and you got bari saxes and you got all this low brass playing a bass line and it doesn't fit what the drummer's trying to turn this song into, you're just going to have to make sure you tell your drummer, hey, you need to listen to this song, you need to follow what's actually on there. What you're playing is not fitting. Now I'm going to do a video about equipment for Pep Band drumming versus jazz and versus all these other things. But the main thing is make sure they always have a rug. I see all the time people frantically put this drum set together. They throw it out there in the gym and they don't have a rug, and then the bass drum keeps scooting away from them. They never bring a rug, and they just keep going, well, that's what happens when you don't have a rug. There's a really cool product called K-brakes. Go on the bottom of the bass drum feet. Even if it's just on like a wood floor, it can keep it from scooting away too much. That's not my main solution for that. I think you should really just get a rug, but that's a good solution as well. Let them have fun. It's Pep Band. Let them have a good time. If you have a big drum set, that's really cool. They will have a good time, but make sure that they are practicing on that kit. If they're practicing on a 4-piece jazz kit and then you let them have this gigantic 8-tom setup with all these crashes, they're going to try to play too many things in every fill, and they're just going to get off because they're too excited. They're kids. Can you blame them? I can't blame them. I get excited too. All right, number 8, playing too hard. I know this may seem really elementary, and there's probably some people already checking off of this video thinking, oh, I'm not even learning anything. I saw a picture someone posted of them playing a Pep Band game, and the drummer slammed the bass drum beater through a bass drum head. Now, I've been drumming for over half of my life now. I have never once broken a bass drum head. You don't need to hit that hard, and I play hard, but I don't break bass drum heads. It's way too much. They're like raising their leg up to their chest trying to play that bass drum. First of all, it's not a good technique. They're not going to be able to play accurately, but also it's going to damage your equipment, and you don't need to spend $50 every time some yahoo thinks that it's fun is beat the ever-living crap out of a bass drum. Things you can look for is just them raising their hand way too high, driving through a cymbal and not off of the cymbal. Every once in a while, make sure you look and see if there's a bunch of dents in the heads. I've messed up heads before, but you shouldn't have like little dips in the head everywhere. That means they're playing way too hard. It does not help the tone to play that hard. You do need to play aggressive, but you don't need to play that hard. Now, you may chalk this up to a pet peeve, but at number 7, drummers standing too close to the guy playing. If you were a trumpet player trying to play and there was someone right next to your face while you were playing, that would get really frustrating. Or they were like hovering over your fingers as you were trying to play, that would get really annoying. A lot of times you'll have multiple drummers switching in and out at Pep Band. I always hated when I was trying to play and there'd be a guy right here next to me, and every time I try to like move my arm over it, oh sorry man, sorry. I've had kids before who will sit like next to my leg. I don't think a lot of people like people too close to them when they're playing. It is really frustrating. It's one of those things that starts to cause lots of rifts. When I would ask them to move or I tell them to move, I would usually get a snide comment. It caused me to mess up a lot because I was trying to avoid hitting them while just being pissed that they were next to me. Please, if you see someone standing too close to your drummer, please tell them, hey, go sit over there or get out of their way. So this little pet peeve thing brings me into my next point, number 6, and this is fighting over songs. Yeah. Now, if you only have one drummer or you're a smaller school, you may not have to worry about this, but I went to a decent sized school, and I will talk first off about the drumline mentality. I hope I don't upset anyone for this one. It's pretty common that the people who do well on drumline kind of consider themselves in charge of everything when it comes to music. Drum set was my thing, so when I was a freshman, I was already like, I'm playing in Pep Band, I don't care. My senior year, there were all these drumline people who were all of a sudden coming in saying, oh, well, you know, I'm a higher position than you, so I get to pick the songs I want. No, you don't, man. That's not how it works. Drumline and Pep Band are two separate things. You may have kids who are great marching players, and they might be insane snare players or insane tenor players. That doesn't mean they're good set players. And vice versa. We had several kids who were cymbal players on the drumline, but they played at church every week on drum set, and they were the superior drum set players compared to these guys. Or gals, sorry. So I really encourage you to not just turn a blind eye to these things. If you see one of the upperclassmen who's never played in Pep Band before coming in and stealing songs away from kids who have been playing for 2 years, or a freshman who's a really good set player, be conscious of that. Don't let them bully other kids. I know you could chalk that up to just my past experience. I know that happens a lot in a lot of schools. How many of you have auditions for Pep Band drummers? We never really had auditions until my senior year, where we had way too many kids wanting to play. We had like 15 kids saying they were going to play drum set, and it just was too many, which would mean everybody got to play like one song every like 2 weeks at a game. Comment below and let me know if you do auditions or if you don't do auditions, or how your process works. Number 5, talking about how we play. So, cymbal dancing. Yes, you all know those power ballads where they got the nice piano going, a nice synthesizer, right? For some reason, there's just a drummer going. You know, one of the things that really got to me is that there should always be a purpose for this. If there's really no reason for you to be hitting cymbals and doing little tings all over the place, don't do it. Tell them, hey man, just wait. You don't need to be doing this. You're not adding to the music, so just stay out. I really learned this when I went to a district jazz festival. There was me and another drummer, and this other drummer was one of those guys who just kind of couldn't stop tapping on things when the director was talking and all stuff. So the director comes in and says, all right, let's tune up. Takes his drumsticks, boom, just starts wailing on the cymbals as hard as he can. He just starts going nuts. And the director started cursing him out before anybody could actually hear him. What the are you doing, kid? What? That's what he had done every single day of Pep Band, every single day of jazz band, his whole entire life. He had no idea why this guy was mad. Can you tune a cymbal? No. Then don't play it. What are you doing? I'll be honest, I love people who are just very blunt, but make sure your kids have a purpose. It drives me crazy when they just keep tapping around and they don't actually know what they're doing, or sometimes they're playing and they're not really on beat, and they just think if they're playing these little taps, it doesn't matter if they're on beat. So that's one thing that I encourage you to just cut off. Make sure they're thinking musically, not just, I want to hit things. One thing that will really help clean up their sound, getting them away from crashing on their ride. A lot of people who listen to rock drumming or punk drumming or whatever, instead of hitting the ride with the tip of their stick, which is what you're supposed to do, they just start driving through the cymbal with the edge of their stick, hitting as hard as they can. Can you get away with that on a hi-hat? Yeah, sometimes you can. If you have a really thick ride, it's not a good crash sound, and it's just going to create this really loud ringing. It's that lunchroom noise that you don't need. And if you haven't seen my lunchroom noise video, please go see it. It's the one video that I swear everybody needs to watch. Everyone. They think it's cool, and it's not. Okay, it's just flat out not cool. Does not sound good. They think it does, and it doesn't. Just got to tell them it doesn't sound good. I don't want you to do it. Stop it. If you don't have a platform or somewhere that the drum set is just set up at all times, if they have to move it on and off the basketball court or whatever, a lot of times that kit is just thrown together, and it's hard because, oh man, you know, we set up, we started playing, and then, oh, the tom's too far. Oh, this is over here too far. Oh, the crash is way off. It caused them to have a lot of issues. If it's possible to have a platform or somewhere that it's just set up at all times, I encourage you to do that. One of the biggest things, again, this may sound like a pet peeve, but always pay attention to who is actually setting up the kit. This would drive me nuts because there would always be that one senior guy or that upperclassman who would show up right when the game starts and the drum set's already set up, and then they would leave as soon as halftime's over and they wouldn't help clean up anything. And they would do that every single game. Sometimes they would be someone that the director really likes and they would give them way too many songs, and all the kids who actually set up everything and did the work got screwed. If you don't really know if this is happening or not, and you can't be there to see it, if you have band officers or somebody in the band who will pay attention to those things for you to let you know, Johnny, the freshman kid, set up everything, and then all the seniors came in, wouldn't let him play, and then he cleaned everything up. Personally, I just don't think allowing a kid to slack off and then get rewarded is a good thing. That's me personally. You can have your own thoughts on that, but that's just how I feel. And I feel that way because when you get into the real world of music, that crap doesn't fly. Being lazy, showing up at the last minute, not doing the work you're supposed to do is not something that is going to get you far in the musical world. I hope most of you can agree with me on that. Number 2, the power fill. You all know the power fill. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you will, because the power fill is this. It is the idea, how many notes can I get, cram them into one measure. The more notes I have, the better I am. This is a huge psychological thing with drummers. They really do think that this is the best way to play, and this is the most impressive way to play, is just if I can put as many notes into a measure as I can, that means I'm better than that guy who only got this many notes. Which in reality, none of them can actually tell how many notes they played. So it's just who didn't mess up, essentially. 3/4 of the time, these fills don't end on 1. It usually just gets the band thrown off. Even if a kid does land it, it's not real playing. You know, I've played with drummers since that still do this. Even like when they're playing in a bar band, or they're playing at church, or they're playing it, they play thinking that they're being impressive when the reality is that they don't sound good, and they're actually throwing everybody else off, and everybody else has to just ignore them. And they're sitting there going, sick fill, right, bruh? No, bro. Not a sick fill at all. And a lot of times kids who do this will get praised by the other drummers because they think it's cool, because they think it's hard. They also will get the hometown hero syndrome, where there's parents, there's peers of theirs who are just like, yo man, sick fill, yeah, that was so fast. And they don't know that that fill is the exact thing that's going to get them fired from a gig in 3 years. Tell them to get rid of the power fill, play really confidently on quarter notes to start. If they can nail that, that's the start. Then say, okay, you can add 8th notes. Okay, now you can add 16th notes. But you cannot just play as fast as you possibly can. I think even just bringing up the term power fill to your drummers can do a lot, just to show them that, like, oh, that's a thing. Okay. The number one thing you can do to help your drummers is to pick consistent tempos. In college, my teacher would talk about the speed of a song and what type of notes you have in your arsenal at this tempo. Never thought of that before this. Yeah, if you have a tune that's 220 beats per minute, you can't play 16th notes. They're way too fast. I can't play them accurately. It's like, yeah, you can play quarter notes, maybe an 8th note, but you can't play these insane 16-note triplet fills or anything like that. And that's when the light went off. Bing! We would always practice all our songs at just a normal average tempo. Then we get to the game. There's the buzzer. Oh, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 60 clicks faster. All those fills and just the feel of the song that I had before is completely gone. It's essentially a brand new song because all the fills I did are useless. Please don't take tempos faster and faster. Not only is it just harder for them to play, it also teaches them to just feed into adrenaline. And when they get to college and they start getting those whiplash moments where the director's yelling at them about their tempo, it's kind of your fault. Sorry, man. Kind of is. If you're feeding into that adrenaline and you're letting them go along for that ride, they don't know how to refine themselves. They just get excited and they keep pushing because that's what they were taught. If this was a helpful video, please share this with other people. Tell other people to check it out because that's the only way this gets out there. Thank you guys so much. Have a good one.